£1,700. That is the exact hidden surcharge regulators are quietly bolting onto the price of the next standard petrol or diesel car you buy. The European Commission stood at their podiums and told the public that the upcoming Euro 7 emissions regulations would only cost manufacturers a completely reasonable €180 to €450 per vehicle. The independent economic data proves they lied to your face. They are systematically legislating the affordable internal combustion engine out of existence, and they are using your wallet to execute the death warrant. By the 29th of November 2026, every single newly launched car model requiring initial type approval must comply with the Euro 7 standard. Exactly 1 year later, in November 2027, every brand new car sitting in a UK showroom must meet these draconian rules. The politicians champion this as a massive sweeping victory for clean air and future generations. The reality on the ground involves a regulatory nightmare that kills the budget tyre market, outlaws standard cast iron brake discs, and forces your local independent mechanic to undergo criminal background checks just to read a dashboard warning light. If you are as furious as I am about unelected bureaucrats forcing working drivers off the road through stealth taxation and engineered complexity, smash that subscribe button right now. We are exposing the exact hardware components manufacturers are hiding in your next engine bay, the truth about the next garage security clearances, and the absolute panic gripping the European car industry as the fines start mounting. The public relations team in Brussels initially published estimates claiming Euro 7 compliance would cost automakers a few €100 per vehicle. They presented this as a minor rounding error on a modern finance agreement, something the consumer would barely notice on their monthly payments. But here's the thing. Independent economic analysis conducted by Frontier Economics ripped those estimates to shreds within days of publication. The direct manufacturing cost will land 4 to 10 times higher than the official claims. The actual per vehicle cost increase sits at roughly £1,700 for standard passenger cars and light vans. Heavy-duty diesel trucks face an apocalyptic £10,200 penalty just to roll off the assembly line. That money does not magically vanish into the corporate ether. The manufacturers will pass every single penny directly onto the retail price of the vehicle, plus their standard dealer markup and profit margin. By the time you sign the paperwork, that £1,700 factory cost transforms into a £2,500 retail penalty. To understand why the cost escalated so violently, we have to look under the bonnet at the absurd hardware mandates required to meet the new limits. For passenger cars, the exhaust emission control hardware represents the largest single financial black hole. To comply with aggressively strict cold start limits and stop-start urban driving regulations, the old catalytic converter bolted comfortably under the floor pan no longer suffices. Automakers find themselves forced to install close-coupled catalysts right up against the exhaust manifold. Plastic intake manifolds and 800-degree catalytic converters don't mix. You're effectively slow-cooking your own wiring loom just to pass a cold start lab test. The surrounding plastic becomes incredibly brittle. The rubber hoses perish in half their normal lifespan. The wiring installation cracks. You are sacrificing the mechanical longevity of the entire engine bay just to shave 2 seconds off a testing cycle. Furthermore, automakers find themselves tearing up decades of proven engineering just to survive the new rules. They are ripping out reliable, cheap-to-fix multi-point injection systems and replacing them with highly complex gasoline direct injection units to satisfy the evaporative emissions drop tests. Because direct injection creates excessive soot, petrol engines have run gasoline particulate filters since the Euro 6 days. But Euro 7 drops the measurement threshold down to a microscopic 10 nanometers, which meant petrol engines now require even denser, upgraded gasoline particulate filters. This creates another massive physical restriction in the exhaust that will inevitably clog if you only drive to the supermarket and back. The engine is no longer designed to produce reliable power. It is designed to satisfy a laboratory test at the expense of the owner's bank account. If you think the petrol engines sound compromised, the engineering forced upon the diesel market borders on mechanical sabotage. The Euro 6 regulations mandate drastically increased catalyst volumes and incredibly fragile chemical processing systems that simply cannot survive real-world British motoring. If you currently own a modern diesel, you already know the absolute misery of AdBlue. The fluid crystallizes inside the tank, blocking the lines and completely destroying the injector pump, usually resulting in a £1,500 repair bill. Euro 7 takes that fragile system and doubles the complexity. The new standard demands dual urea injection systems. The engine must inject AdBlue at 2 completely different temperature stages, once right at the closed-coupled catalyst near the engine block, and again further down the exhaust stream. You now have 2 separate dosing injectors, 2 sets of lines, and double the potential for catastrophic crystallization failure. They also demand electrically heated catalysts that place an enormous continuous parasitic drain on the vehicle's alternator. They rely on highly sensitive ammonia slip sensors to monitor the chemical reaction in real time. Every single one of these fragile electronic components operates in the most hostile, heat-soaked, vibration-heavy environment imaginable. When an electrically heated catalyst burns out its internal element at 40,000 miles because you hit a pothole too hard, you aren't replacing a simple piece of exhaust pipe. You are replacing a computerized chemical plant. You will be looking at an invoice that rivals the residual value of the car. The legislation essentially guarantees that a Euro 7 diesel will become economically unviable to repair the second its factory warranty expires. Historically, emissions testing focused entirely on what came out of the tailpipe. You measured the carbon dioxide, you measured the nitrogen oxides, and you moved on. Euro 7 changes the rules entirely by introducing the first ever regulations on non-exhaust emissions. They are targeting the physical friction materials keeping you on the road, and the result will absolutely devastate the routine maintenance costs of every driver in the country. The legislation strictly caps brake dust particulate matter. A pure electric vehicle faces a limit of just 3 mg per kilometer, largely because they can rely on regenerative braking to slow the car down. Internal combustion and hybrid cars must hit 7 mg, while large vans are allowed 11 mg. To achieve these microscopic numbers, the standard cast iron brake disc is entirely dead. That cheap, reliable piece of engineering that has stopped cars safely and affordably for a century physically cannot pass the new test. Manufacturers must pivot to highly wear-resistant braking materials. Standard iron rotors will be replaced by tungsten-carbide coated brake discs or incredibly complex double-layer coating systems. These advanced friction materials require massive industrial investments, longer production times, and highly specialized testing benches. The factories producing them face soaring energy bills and massive tooling upgrades, and that manufacturing cost transfers directly to your local parts counter. You will pay supercar maintenance money just to stop a basic 1-litre family hatchback. A front brake job that currently costs £250 at an independent garage using standard iron discs and semi-metallic pads will easily double or triple in price. When the MOT tester tells you your discs are scored, you won't be handing over a couple of £100s. You will be looking at a 4-figure bill just to keep the car legal. And because these are coated discs, your local mechanic cannot simply put them on a brake lathe and skim them to save you money. Once the microscopic hard-wearing coating degrades, the entire heavy metal unit goes straight into the bin. The tires underneath those new brakes face an equally brutal legislative crackdown. Heavy electric vehicles already tear through rubber at an alarming rate, throwing massive amounts of particulate matter into the air. Euro 7 attempts to solve this by introducing strict tyre abrasion limits, which become mandatory for new tyre types by July 2028 and apply to every single new tyre placed on the market by July 2030. The corporate industry analysts expect this to trigger an immediate 2% retail price hike across the board, but the percentage increase hides the real catastrophe for working drivers. Strict abrasion limits effectively outlaw the entire budget tyre sector. The cheap £40 corner shop tyres that keep millions of older cars legally on the road simply cannot pass the stringent European wear rate tests. They rely on softer rubber compounds that shed material too quickly for the new standard. The legislation will force those budget brands out of the market entirely, which meant drivers will face no alternative but to buy expensive premium rubber from top-tier brands just to stay compliant with the law and pass their annual MOT. A full set of tyres for a basic estate car will transition from a manageable £200 expense to a £500 financial crisis. They are legally mandating premium maintenance costs for economy vehicles. You are being forced to subsidize the environmental damage caused by heavy luxury electric SUVs, simply because the regulators decided to blanket the entire market with the exact same abrasion standards. The old Euro 6 standard tested a car when it rolled off the assembly line. If it passed the laboratory test on day 1 with a golden sample vehicle, it received its compliance certificate and the manufacturer washed their hands of it. Euro 7 rips up that framework and replaces it with a whole vehicle lifetime standard. The law now dictates that cars and vans must maintain their strict emissions compliance for 10 full years or 124,000 miles on the road. This fundamentally alters the used car market forever. To enforce this 10-year compliance rule, the bureaucrats mandated that every Euro 7 vehicle must carry an on-board monitoring system. This is not your standard check engine light that illuminates when a spark plug misfires. This system utilizes advanced sensors and artificial intelligence to constantly track the chemical output of the vehicle in real time. If a component degrades by even a fraction of a percent, the car alerts the driver and logs the failure permanently in the computer. Your vehicle effectively operates as a mobile informant, reporting its own mechanical wear to the authorities. If you ignore the warning, the car's computer will trigger an inducement loop. It will give you a mileage countdown, and when that hits 0, the engine will physically refuse to start until the emissions fault is rectified at a dealership. The implication for the second-hand market proves absolutely dire. Older Euro 6 vehicles, particularly those carrying patchy service histories or missing DPF cleaning receipts, will suffer massive, accelerated depreciation. Used car buyers already live in fear of expanding clean air zones in London's ultra-low emission zone. When Euro 7 hits the showrooms with its lifetime monitoring guarantees, the older models will look like massive financial liabilities. However, the legislation does not introduce one crucial legal protection regarding the electric vehicle sector. For the very first time in automotive history, Euro 7 sets hard legal mandates for battery degradation. The law dictates that an EV battery must retain at least 80% of its original factory capacity after 5 years or 62,000 miles on the road. Pushing further, it must hold 72% capacity after 8 years or 100,000 miles. This regulation officially ties an electric vehicle's residual value to its verified battery health. On paper, this protects the resale value of Euro 7 compliant electric cars, but here is the catch the politicians completely ignore. By establishing a firm legal floor for battery health, they instantly devalue every single pre-Euro 7 electric vehicle currently sitting on a British driveway. An unregulated 2023 EV without those government-mandated battery warranties becomes radioactive to a second-hand buyer. Why would anyone risk their savings on a used Nissan Leaf or early Volkswagen ID3 when the law didn't protect the battery cells at the time of manufacture? The market will heavily penalize the early adopters who bought into the electric dream before the regulators forced the manufacturers to guarantee the hardware. The new legislation accidentally destroys the very market it was supposed to protect, turning hundreds of thousands of current EVs into unsellable assets. Because the cars must constantly monitor their own emissions, the European Commission allowed the automakers to secure these onboard monitoring systems using proprietary cybersecurity protocols known as UN R155. The manufacturers immediately attempted to use this rule to permanently lock independent mechanics out of the diagnostic ports. They wanted a system where you could only clear a fault code at a main dealer. The independent garage industry saw this coming and fought a massive legal battle. They won what is now known as the SERMI scheme, which officially goes live in the United Kingdom on the 1st of April 2026. SERMI stands for Security-Related Vehicle Repair and Maintenance Information, and it was specifically created to prevent the manufacturers from running a total monopoly. Under this new scheme, your local mechanic doesn't have to register with Ford, BMW, and Audi individually. They can apply for one single master certificate through an assessment body like the RMSIC, which grants them a secure digital token to access all participating manufacturers' gateways. On paper, it sounds like the biggest independent garage victory of the decade. But here's the thing. While it stops the absolute monopoly, it still completely eradicates the casual mechanic. To get that SERMI certificate, the garage owner has to submit to strict criminal record checks. They have to undergo aggressive business audits. Every single employee touching a car has to be digitally vetted and registered. And the garage still has to buy the expensive, compliant diagnostic hardware to actually use the token. The days of the guy under the railway arch fixing your car with a £50 snap-on clone are entirely dead. Access to critical, fast-wearing emissions components like the nitrogen oxide sensors and the air mass meters will sit locked tightly behind this digital wall. The independent workshops that keep British motoring affordable will face a brutal choice. They must submit to the corporate vetting process and pay the assessment fees, or they must turn the work away entirely. Whichever path they choose, the hourly labour rate for the consumer skyrockets. The garage has to recoup the massive cost of the digital tokens, the business audits, and the specialised software. You will pay main dealer prices at the local industrial estate purely to satisfy the digital toll bridge erected by the cybersecurity legislation. You might even expect the automotive manufacturers to quietly accept these rules since they permanently lock in their diagnostic ecosystem. That changed when the broader macroeconomic reality set in. The European Automobile Manufacturers Association, representing industrial giants like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Renault, and Stellantis, is currently in a state of absolute, unmitigated panic. They are aggressively lobbying Brussels to delay and water down the very legislation they helped shape. The automakers present a surprisingly logical argument. They point out that Euro 7 forces them to divert billions of pounds of research and development funding entirely away from zero-emissions electric vehicles. Instead, they must spend that capital redesigning outgoing combustion engines for an incredibly marginal environmental gain. They are spending absolute fortunes to clean up tailpipes on cars that the governments plan to legally ban from sale in the coming decade anyway. But their sudden concern for the environment marks a massive financial terror. The electric vehicle market is currently suffering a severe, prolonged sales slowdown. Private buyers absolutely refuse to finance expensive, heavily depreciating battery cars while public charging infrastructure remains broken and interest rates remain punitively high. Because EV sales are stalling on the showroom floors, the manufacturers are relying heavily on their profitable petrol and diesel models to keep their factories open and their shareholders happy. This triggers a massive regulatory trap. The Manufacturers Association recently issued a desperate, highly publicized warning. European automakers face up to 13 billion euros in fines for their passenger car divisions, and an additional 3 billion euros for vans, if they fail to meet the upcoming 2025 CO2 fleet average targets. The math is brutal. They cannot sell enough EVs to offset the carbon footprint of the petrol cars that customers actually want to buy. Every internal combustion engine they sell pushes them closer to a catastrophic financial penalty. Facing fierce, heavily subsidized competition from cheaper Chinese imports like BYD and MG, the European manufacturers are effectively holding a gun to the head of the economy. They are demanding a 2-year delay to these targets. The threat is explicit and undeniable. They warned the regulators that without immediate legislative relief, the automakers will face no choice but to hold production on up to 2 million internal combustion vehicles just to avoid the fines. Let that sink in. They will deliberately shut down assembly lines, lay off thousands of workers, and restrict the supply of new petrol and diesel cars simply because they cannot meet the arbitrary targets they previously agreed to. By restricting the supply of new combustion vehicles, they artificially inflate the price of the remaining inventory. The consumer gets battered from both sides. You either pay an extortionate markup for a scarce petrol car, or you get forced into an electric vehicle that depreciates by half its value the second you drive it off the forecourt. They built this regulatory cage over the last 20 years by smiling at politicians and agreeing to impossible targets. And now they are screaming because the lock finally clicked shut. Euro 7 is not an environmental policy. It is a calculated financial mechanism designed to make private vehicle ownership completely unviable for the average working citizen. They cannot legally ban you from driving today without causing a riot, so they attack the margins. They mandate carbide brake discs that cost a fortune. They eliminate affordable tyres. They force your local mechanic into a bureaucratic nightmare of digital tokens and criminal background checks until you voluntarily hand over your keys and take the bus. Your decision to maintain a Euro 5 or Euro 6 car has never been more vital to your financial survival. The cars sitting on your driveway right now represent the absolute final era of repairable, accessible motoring. A vehicle that allows you to change your own brake pads on a Sunday afternoon without accessing a central server for digital permission is an asset you cannot afford to surrender. Protect the service history. Spray the underbody with rust protection before the winter hits. Reject the shiny finance offers and the computerized nightmares currently sitting in the showrooms. The new cars are not upgrades. They are financial traps designed to drain your bank account every time a sensor twitches. How much did your last set of tyres or brake pads cost? Are you planning to run your current older car into the ground to avoid the new legislation? Drop your exact running costs and your long-term strategy in the comments below. Every verified price proves just how badly the industry is fleecing the public, and this community is writing the manual for automotive independence, one comment at a time.